is 5:02 p.m. and we are calling our special meeting of the Board of Education to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Mr. Roshan to please lead us in the pledge.
Is everyone ready? No. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We are now at item 352.25, roll call and attendance. Mrs. Hines, please.
Mr. Ambrose,
Present.
Ms. Abby Mitchell,
Present.
Dr. Weaver. Is it an excused absence or not
I
sure?
have not heard from him.
Okay, we just blank. Ms. Hines, present. Mr. Cox,
Present.
Mr. Rashawn,
Present.
President Ray.
Present.
Okay, we got one, I guess.
Thank you. We are now at item 353.25, citizens' comments on agenda items. Mrs. Hines, do we have any slips for comments tonight?
I didn't see any slips.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to 354.25, Finance Committee Review and Discussion. And at this point, I will turn this portion of the meeting over to Mr. Ambrose.
All right. Up tonight first, we have Ms. Grove coming to us to talk about some middle school resources.
Good evening.
Hello.
Okay, I'm here to talk to you about two different requests that we have for the board to consider approving. One is on behalf of our middle school science teachers. You may remember prior to our financial situation, the middle school science teachers had begun a 2-year adoption process to adopt a new resource for grades 6 through 8. They were about a year and a half into that process when our situation occurred last year, putting a halt to our adoption process. Once we found ourselves in a better place, we were given permission to continue that adoption, but at that time, our teachers were underway with some of the supplemental resources that you had approved for them in light of the situation, and they were going forward with that. One of the resources, or the resource that they had really grown attached to during the course of this was the SAVA resource. They were piloting this resource. It was called Explore Science, and that's what they were piloting just before the financial situation took place. As a result of our pilot being halted, SAVA was generous enough to allow us to just continue using all of their resources for free with no cost to the district or our teachers or students or families for the entire year. At the end of that year, and like I said, we transitioned into the next one with some supplemental resources. Our teachers revisited that pilot and were ready to move forward with actually requesting an adoption of full resources from SAVA from the board. Just before they were about to do that, our SAVA rep, although she was extremely excited and appreciative that they were ready to make that move and to partner with SAVA, she said in good faith, I have to tell you that in the fall we're launching a brand new version of this resource. So we would not want to commit you to a contract with the resource that we're about to enhance significantly. So our teachers were excited about that, although they were very excited about getting their resources in hand in the fall. So as a result, we are looking to pilot the new Experience Science resource from SAVA. This will allow our teachers to experience the new and enhanced features that come with the updated version of that resource. So SAVA came in, they gave a full presentation to all of our 6th and 7th and 8th grade science teachers, and we would like to move forward with that pilot. Typically, there is not a cost involved in piloting. Our partners are usually very generous with their resources during a pilot. But since we utilized all of their resources for free last year, and we still have all those resources, and they were great about the fact that when we said, we're not going to be moving forward with purchasing something, they said, no problem, keep our resources and use our digital resources for the remainder of the year. We understand things happen. So when we wanted to pilot again this year, they, again, were very excited about that pilot partnership, but those resources on average cost $122,000 to run a pilot, and that's generously what they had already given us, $122,000 worth of resources. So to ask them to do that again with a new resource was maybe asking a bit much. So as a result, we did ask that Savant provide us with a quote in which they are, again, very generously providing us all the teacher materials needed, all the student materials needed, all the digital resources for the school year. What they are asking that we pay is that we split the cost of the science kits that go along with the units that we're piloting. And you can see in the diagram here, those kits are very costly. They're around $2,000 to $3,000 a piece. And so they are still paying for half of the kits for all of our classrooms and all of our classes in 7th and 8th grade, because we have multiple hours, remember. And we are asking to pay for the other cost of the kits, the other half, at a cost of $41,446.08. That would be for the entire year that we would have those resources. Questions? Yes, Ms. Tynes?
Quick question. I know some years ago, I don't know if it was like 2020, but we did approve a curriculum. I know it's a science curriculum. What age group was that? Because I remember it was a National Geographic or 2020, some science curriculum.
Yeah, might have been
It was Amplify.
elementary, because middle school has not had science resources in at least a decade.
Okay.
They've been kind of piecemealing things together prior to me coming into the middle school realm. They were really just piecemealing things.
Yeah, because I know one time we had an issue where we approved some science. It was I'm not going to say which one was the curriculum, but the teacher didn't even use it, and then they went to something else.
Yeah, we had one of our middle schools using, when I came to this position, they were using an open resource from RISA. We had another one that was using some supplemental resources, specifically Explore Learning, which is commonly known as Gizmos. And then 6th grade was using these old, piecemealed binder type things. So they've all been utilizing different resources, and we at least got them on the same page over the last 2 years as we were piloting, and then with the supplements that we were approved to use last year. And they're extremely excited about getting a resource that is 6-8, and it's something that they can consistently work from.
And like a policy, could they make it where everything is, across the board? Because like I say, we piecemeal and everything. It makes it hard for
Right,
everybody to keep the test
absolutely.
scores consistent.
And it's very difficult to have common assessments and compare data and talk about instructional practices when, we're using different resources.
Well, thank you for your investment in that. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Yes, Ms. May?
Thank you. So I'm just wondering, if we decide to go with this after a year of piloting, do we know what the cost will be
No.
total? Okay.
No.
And then the science kits, those are consumables, correct? So is that correct? So I'm asking that to say,
Right.
hey, if we went with this resource, we would make an initial purchase, and then would we have to purchase consumables each year for the kits?
Yes and no. So the kits are primarily not consumables, but
Okay.
you need consumables with the kids. But Sabah says we do not recommend, we don't even provide those because that is something you could obtain at a much lower cost than, we
So the
would
materials for
provide.
the kids.
Right.
Okay.
So will science need consumables? Absolutely, but they always do. So
Mm-hmm.
we would plan for that as well.
Okay, one other piece, or just a follow-up to the question, is I would like to know the total cost, right? So if we decide to purchase it, so that we have some idea, and we're not
Sure.
having people pilot something that we turn around and say, oh, wait, this is more than we expected. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Just so we have a
100%.
better idea.
Yes,
So if you
we
could
can
do that, that would
definitely
be
get
great,
those
just as
for
a
you.
follow-up.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I had a couple of questions, but you gave me a new one because you said since last year when we approved this, it has been an update. So is it updated every year?
Well, if we move forward with an official adoption of requesting an adoption from the board, it would be for several years. Usually we do 5 to 6 years is our
Okay.
average contract.
So my other questions are, so what grades took advantage of this, 6th, 7th, and 8th?
Yes.
Okay, so the question I have is, how did the kids do? Was it friendly? Was it easier for them to access it? And how was their grades? I would like to see data around the improvement of their grades because with the 8th graders, that's the year that they take the M-Step, correct?
Yes.
So did it increase that? Did it increase their data?
Yes.
Their
So,
performance?
oh, I'm sorry. So they saw significant improvement in engagement and so forth. It's a very hands-on, phenomena-based curriculum, so it's very engaging, and the kids really responded well to that. In terms of their data, we will probably know more at the conclusion of this year because they will have just used that for the 1 year, and we gather data as we're utilizing the resource, but we're only doing selective units. So teachers can use the resource the whole time, but in terms of gathering data, we gather data around some common units so that we
Okay.
make sure that, okay, everybody may not be using this with Fidelity for, their earth science unit, but when we get to electrical, current, everybody is going to use this resource, nothing else. And we're gonna do it with Fidelity, and then we're gonna gather data. Not only formal data like test scores and so forth, but also informal data around, hey, kids, what did you really like about this? Was this easy to read? Was it easy to follow? Those kinds of things. So that will be all a part of what we would bring to you.
So I think what I heard you say is that if we do the pilot program again, so based on next year and last year, we won't be able to get no data until next year?
You will have data from us doing it this time because we weren't supposed to be doing it for the whole year.
Okay.
When we were piloting it. We were only doing it for a semester, but then the financial situation took place and it halted our pilot. So then we were continuing just with this free resource.
So will any data be available before we make the decision now?
Yes,
So
yes.
I would like to see the data and see if it was, see the data.
Yes, well, that would be part of when we actually, this is just the pilot, so this would be where we would collect that data.
Okay.
And then we would bring that to you before asking for a full adoption.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so you will have all that data.
okay.
Yes,
Just one last question. How many uses do we get out of the kits?
pardon me?
How many uses, like for the science kits, do we get to use it? It's like one time, a few times?
Oh, no, you get to keep them, they're good to go, they're not, yeah,
So you can use them multiple times?
Yep.
Okay, cool, thank you.
yes, as long as teachers can keep them all together. Yes,
What kind of support are they going to provide our teachers in terms of training in service for for teaching this updated material?
Yes, they provide full professional development and support throughout the year.
And since this is an upgrade, how did the teachers receive the outgoing model, using a term that I would use in automotive? You know, we went from 24 model year to 25 model year. So how was the last round received by the teachers?
So they were very excited with the last round, which is why they wanted to move forward with actually proposing an adoption. But that's when Sabah said, hold up, time out. We have a new product coming out with all the things you love about Explore Science called Experience Science, which will have some enhancements that we didn't have. So that's what we're going to find out, if they like it as well or better or all those things.
Mr. Cox?
Let's talk about that a little bit more. What kind of enhancements?
Well, one, it's a phenomena-based unit. So they have developed the units in ways that there are more experience-based enhancements. So students will, one, have more labs and interactive experiences. There's videos that they've added to the modules, they call them, units, modules. They also have embedded some things that are for, let's say you had a teacher who unexpectedly was out. And, you know, had to leave for a week, right, unexpectedly, and we have a guest teacher in the classroom. There's videos and enhancements that allow the teacher to go back and see what was already previously learned, so they can then prepare for the next day's instruction. So that's going to be very helpful. They've embedded a lot of visual supplements and differentiating instructional strategies within the resources for the teachers, then allowing them to share those with the kids.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Oshan?
Yes, also, what tracking process do we have during this implementation where we can track the students' growth as we're implementing this curriculum?
So we do, all of this is part of the curriculum adoption process, which this isn't really, this is just the pilot. So through this, we have various tracking. We have rubrics that are developed with the team of teachers. They go through an intensive process of establishing what it is that we need for our students, looking at the data, what do we already have in resources that are working well? What are we missing? Where are the gaps? We look at those different things. We look at the standards. Have any of those varied? We work with the high school, make sure that we're aligning with them. And then again, 5th grade, to make sure that we're in sync with them. It's a whole process. And then we bring all that to you.
Will we be able to, like, mid-semester, mid-year, kind of look at that data as we go along?
Well, they're
Or
going to
how does
do
it
what we
final?
call evaluative modules. They're going to do 2 per grade level, one in the second quarter, which would be kind of like November-ish, and then again, one in second semester early on, so more around like February. And that's what they're going to gather data on and so forth.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, I got one, just to follow up to what Mr. Roshan asked. So will that be coming to the board, or that's not
It
coming
would
to the
all
board,
come
or
as part of
just
the
come
final
if you
adoption
decide to adopt?
process,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
Sure. I know this is a little out of the norm, so I don't mean to throw you
If I
for a
may,
loop.
it's not that it's out of the norm. There's a list for me, and this is how I feel, there's a list of like 13 or 14 things, and the individual application of them and how they work into the overall mission is what, you know, you've been doing the work for 2.5 years, but the question that I have is, okay, if we would have gone through with this 2 years ago, it would be obsolete this year.
Yep,
And so it's certain that that's gonna happen again for next year. Absolutely certain with everything that's going on. So this expenditure and all the expenditures, the thing that's in the forefront of my mind is, how does all this fit into where we're going? It seems to me that this is a tool for the teachers.
Correct.
It keeps them on segment so that they're in keeping with the general knowledge of that subject so that the kids can build on that as they move through the different grades, right?
correct.
But before this, we were using something that was basically downloaded from Google probably.
They were supplemental programs.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Well, the only problem I have with it is because we don't have any data of the process or the progress. Because when Mr. Rashad asked, you said that they would do it twice. So
Yeah.
every quarter they will be doing it, or every report card marking. We should know if our kids, if the students' grades are increasing by each card marking. And so the classes that are using this, we should have some kind of data to be able to go on to make an informed decision about this, and we don't have that. We don't have no students in front of us telling us how they learned it. We don't have no teachers. We have, in the notes, we have the teachers that want to move on to the next phase, but like my colleague said, you know, I'm concerned about the upgrade, and every 2 years it'll be an upgrade, because things change. You know, every day, what you had yesterday was old.
And that's gonna be that way with everything.
Absolutely.
Everything that
Absolutely,
we,
but
bring.
this is a healthy price tag.
yeah,
And if I may, I think, so a couple of things for me. I understand the upgrades, right? I get it. I understand it. I think maybe having a comparison of saying like, okay, we utilized it, we piloted it for a year. These are what they told us the upgrades were, right? So that we have some type of comparison of this is what was in the 2023 version and this is what's going to be in the 2025 version. So that would be one piece of it, right?
Okay.
The other piece is, as we talk about data, because we've already piloted for a year, there should be some type of data to say this is why we want to pilot the enhanced version, right? We want to continue with this. The third thing that I lift with this is just to understand and hear a vision as to where we would like to take middle school science, right? What is it that we want our middle schoolers to leave Wayne Wesleyan going into the high school? What's that knowledge base for them that we want them to have that's necessary for them to be successful at the next level? So those are some of the pieces for me that I think are missing. Not saying that this isn't good, we just have some missing pieces.
yeah. This would normally not come to you, because there would normally not be any cost to this. So we're kind of inserting this in the middle of a process that normally we wouldn't bring to the board. So I think that's where there might be some misunderstanding, because this would be in the middle of the process. So it wouldn't be, so that would all come to you at the end of the process.
But because there's a price tag to it, there are some pieces that have to come because it's a price tag, so we shift.
Okay. Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, we do it this way when there's not a price tag, but then when there's a price tag, we have to ask questions.
Right,
You know, we
I have
can't-
no problem
and
with
so-
it. I'm
and
just
I
trying to
understand
explain that
what you're
that's
saying,
why we
yes.
don't have these pieces here today, because this wouldn't normally come to the board.
Well, maybe we can get those pieces and you can come back, you know, the data, the company, they can come in and explain it to us. And, you know, if we can get those pieces, I know it would help with my vote.
Okay,
And it's not that I don't think that this is valuable.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's just that I
Yeah.
know in the back of my mind, we already have it, and they said we can use it. So they're gonna enhance it a little bit, but we already have it.
but we won't, because they're not gonna let us keep using their resource for free.
For how
This
long?
would
When's
be
that
the
gonna
new
end?
one.
When's
Because
that gonna end?
it will end at the end of the school year.
As soon as we say
I
we're
thought
not
at the beginning of
purchasing
their
it.
presentation, you told me that they told you, in all fairness, we're
Over
coming-
the last year.
Oh,
That
okay,
was,
all right.
yeah, when our financial situation occurred,
Okay.
that they let us continue using their resource for free.
One thing I do want to bring to everyone's attention, they did kind of let us use it for free.
Yeah, $122,000 worth of resources.
Right, and then they're going to allow us to do it again.
At half the cost.
At
All
half
but
the cost, yeah.
41,000,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, they could have allowed us to just purchase it and, you know, not
Absolutely.
let us know. So, yeah.
Correct.
Are there any other questions about the science portion of Ms. Grove's topics tonight? All right, middle school ELA curriculum.
Okay. This is being brought on behalf of our English teachers at 6-H. They are looking for some new novels and some replacement novels for the ones that they already have at a cost not to exceed $28,000. They have coordinated with our high school counterparts and our content leader at high school to ensure that these titles align with the work and does not overlap with any of the titles that they're using at any of the high school levels. And they plan to use these for, obviously, to support their standards as well as literary elements, lit circles, to build fluency and comprehension, and would be used for whole group instruction as well as small group instruction. Yes.
Yes,
I just have one quick question. With the literature, I know Wayne Weston has a high transience, with the kids.
Yeah.
How many, is it a problem getting some of our books back with the kids moving in and out the district and stuff like that with additional purchases, or?
We will keep these in class, so they
okay.
would not go home. They would be done with instruction in the classroom.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yes,
So I think that was my question also. So these are hard copies
Yes.
and they classroom books.
correct.
So as I look at this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we have 4 6th grade classes in
We
the
have,
district.
we have a lot more than that, yeah.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. We have 4 English language art classes where they will have these books in it. So is it 4 classes that these books will be housed in?
At each building,
Okay, at
Yes.
each building, right?
yes.
Because I'm just looking at the number of books for the classroom, 275.
Yes,
So
that's
that's per school.
that's for all 3 schools
All 3
collectively.
schools, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, all right, you're right. All right, I was just looking at the number, about how many students in the class, but I understand it more. That's why it helps to ask
Right.
the question. Okay,
Okay, so
some nice books.
with Ms. Ambrose, but, so you said the books will remain in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids will engage in reading the novels in the classroom?
Yep, and they do a lot of read aloud. They do whole group instruction. They do small group instruction, and yeah.
Okay, and then are there how are we meeting the various Lexile levels?
Yes, some of these titles are graphic novels.
Okay.
Yes,
So they will have a choice. Some kids will be able to read it as a graphic novel. Some kids will be able to read it
correct.
as a, okay,
Absolutely.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I guess my last question would be about replacing the book.
Yes.
Was there any amount put in here, for the budget amount in case books had to be replaced, they do get tore up? To make
Right.
sure that if the books is tore up, to make sure that it's still enough books for all the students.
For sure. And yes, we put some extras in here for each school, each classroom to make sure that, yes, they have some extras ready.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Any other questions for, regarding the English curriculum?
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. Mrs. Grove, thank you so much for the
Sure.
work that you're doing with both science and ELA and standing there and fielding our questions. So,
You bet, no
Thank you.
problem,
We appreciate
Appreciate
you.
no problem at all.
For sure, we appreciate you.
I was just saying, it makes it feel just that much more official because you're at the podium.
Yeah. Yeah, may I just add, I like the cabinet room better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it does feel really, it does. Anything else?
Nope,
we
thank you, Ms.
appreciate
Grove. All right, Ms. Broll, I believe you have some, go back to the beginning.
It's your turn, huh?
Hi, good
So-
evening, everybody.
Elementary math.
Yes. So I am coming to you with a request to approve the purchase of the K-5 math curriculum. The total cost you have in front of you is $817,000 and change. However, it would only hit $669 and change to the general fund because we applied for a grant in August that MDE sent to RISA, and we were able to get funding for that, which is one of the reasons we wanted to take an opportunity to go through the curriculum adoption process for math this year in elementary. A little bit of history. We, in 2001, adopted everyday math at the elementary level. And then in 2013, we were provided as elementary teachers, K-6 actually at the time, because we had the 5-6 school, an open resource of Eureka Math. Period. 2001, everyday math was adopted. 2013, teachers were given an open resource. So, long overdue. What we have been doing, though, in the last several years is customizing our resource, which was Eureka Math. But we were spending costs on printing materials. So in the last 5 years, we've spent about $300,000 in printing materials to print the open resource as it was. So there's just a little bit of history, kind of big picture in the last 25 years with math. And then just within this last year, some of the things that you were asking about, like what is the vision of this work and who was involved in this work. We started that in August this year for the K-5 math adoption. We partnered with RISA, and RISA partnered with Edward Ports as well. And so even though we have a very robust and thorough curriculum adoption process, we took advantage of $150,000 and partnering with them and leveling it up even more. So it started with a small team. We created our vision. We then invited other teachers across the district. Ended up with about 45 teachers who were part of this process, who piloted materials, and every grade level was represented, and every one of our 10 schools was represented when we piloted in the spring. The data that we have is not student achievement data from the pilot time. It's hard to compare the data between a fraction unit and a multiplication unit when you're doing two different units from two different curriculums that you're piloting. But the data that we use is based on the rubric that we developed that was on what was in the materials. So was it based on fluency? How well was that provided? Student discourse, math tasks, assessments, teacher usability, all of the things that our team prioritized, that is the data that we use to help make the decision. Ooh, something else around professional development. That is lined up, and the cost from the company is in there as well. From iReady, they will be providing professional development for our teachers over the summer. Optional, 90-minute optional virtual that we'll send out to all of the other teachers who don't attend. We will also have an optional from RISA, who we're partnering with, around the math essentials, because that is one of our focus areas. And then for all district staff, August 22nd when they come back to school. But those who are really eager to jump in and get to know the materials, they can, as well as every single teacher had access to the materials digitally because the company let us do that, not just for the pilot teachers. So they all have access to everything digitally now too.
She answered all your questions.
You what?
Yes, she did. She was writing it down as we was asking them.
Well, I was asked not to have an actual presentation. I could pull one up and share all that visually
okay.
as well, but just with the questions, figured I would share some of those pieces.
So this program is for K-5 only?
Correct.
Mrs. Brawley, you may not have it in front of you, but you mentioned the vision that you guys
Yep.
established. Do you mind sharing that vision? Do you have it with you? Can you share it?
I
Yay.
will.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yep, and so we developed this as a small team, and then when we brought the larger team together, refined it a little bit. It is wordy, but just bear with me. So cultivate confident, reflective learners who are equipped with the problem-solving skills to thrive in a changing world. All Wayne Wesleyan students will engage in and have access to an equitable mathematics learning environment that promotes opportunities for productive struggle through, you guys, I'm older than I want to admit to. Hang on. Promotes opportunities for productive struggle through cognitively demanding story-based task instruction, fosters resilience and critical thinking through student-led rigorous discussions, includes formative assessment with data that drives instructional practices, empowers students to work collaboratively to explore multiple strategies and perspectives for problem solving. And lastly, through these rigorous practices, students will connect math concepts to real-world situations, helping them understand the importance of math in their daily lives and see themselves as mathematicians. And then from this vision, those key areas like the productive struggle, the equitable discussion practices, the assessments, that made up then our rubric that was sectioned off, that they had different criteria for each that they could score.
Got it.
So,
Okay, so then 2 follow-up questions to that. Thank you for sharing the vision. I appreciate hearing that. I'm curious to know, so we have a plan for professional development for staff. How are we engaging parents into this new curriculum? So that's one question.
yeah.
And then the second question that I have is just wondering, how did we include or involve student voice in the selection of this particular curricular resource?
Yep, so going to the student voice piece first, some of our teachers did actually do a survey with their students between the other resource and iReady. So that was considered. But with our lower L, it's really tough to
Right.
say, right, what do you like better? Because probably what you're going to get is, if this was harder, I'm not going to like it as much, right? Which it might have been better for them. Or if this one was on color, student workbook that we were given, they're going to like it better. So that was not a heavy factor at this level, honestly. And just some teachers collected feedback from their students and did surveys. So parent involvement, we have communication letters. So we shared with parents that we were doing the pilot, like kind of beforehand. And then when we go into doing our implementing in the fall, there are parent letters for every unit, so that way they're involved with it. But we have not honestly planned any parent nights or anything like that yet. Right now, it's just communicating that this is the tool we're using, and then at the start of the year, okay, here's kind of what every unit looks like when you get started before it. So that will be, once our teachers get a better handle on it, then we'll be able to then say, okay, let's bring our parents in, and we can show them what we're learning, how they can help their kids with their learning too. So
I think that's
kind of a next step.
Okay. I think that's just, thank you. I think that's an important piece, right? Because the students need that support at home.
Yeah.
And the way in which we teach math has changed drastically, right? And so a lot of times parents just don't know how to best support their kids just because the math has changed. I
Yeah.
mean, and like I'm a teacher, and I told my son at fifth grade and above, you better pay attention in math because there's no support at home. So you better pay attention because math is not my thing, right?
Yeah.
So just thinking about that and like,
Yeah.
sending home letters. it doesn't really, parents need to see it, feel it, be a part of that process. So I think that'll be
Absolutely.
an important piece.
Yep, and we have some bright spots of people who are already doing things like that we can just multiply across all buildings. So like last week on Thursday night at Schweitzer, Ms. Fesso and her team led a parent university. I don't know if anybody was able to be there or heard about it or saw, but they led a parent university, and so they brought in parents, and the teachers actually did a number talk, which is one of our key pieces and important in a math essential. Anyways, they practiced that with the families as if they were students so they could experience it, right? So we have some things that we can multiply and do across all of our other buildings, but not in that planning yet. But, so thanks for lifting it.
So is this digital learning or paper and pencil learning?
Both.
Both, okay.
Yep. So with this, we get the printed materials. Our elementary teachers are always wanting our printed materials in front of the kids' hands as well. So the cost of this covers the student workbooks in print form. They also have digital access. The teacher edition in print form, which they also have digital access. And then a nice thing though with this is like with a lot of our materials now, the digital access is like, it's a slideshow. So everything that the kids are seeing in front of them, I was in a classroom the other day, like I was sitting next to a kid like I was a kid doing the math. And everything is on a slideshow and it's lined up just like it is in the student workbook. So it's both. Yep.
Melanie?
I just had a question with the curriculum. When you guys get done with books, like how do you recycle the old books? Do you donate them, or like from, how you guys change up curriculum, you have old books and stuff, like what do you do with the old ones? Do you sell them, or?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So, in general, a couple of things. With elementary, we order a lot of things as we go, and you'll hear that with studies weekly next in a second here. But we order or have teachers order, so they're just ordering exactly what they need. So like the math that we've been doing and using, every teacher ordered what they needed from our print shop, so there wasn't excess. However, sometimes there are materials in excess, and I have been part of that as well. So there are a few different, book buyers, well, I don't know what their real title is, but they will come out and they will purchase materials that they want because they know that they've got a warehouse that they can sell them to. So we've got a few of those who will buy materials for us in general. In fact, I just called them to, even like small little books that we don't need anymore, I had them go out to a couple schools and look. So we do try to get something back from them if we can.
Thank you.
Yeah. The old, never does the actual company who sold them to us want to buy them back. I will tell you that.
Of course not.
That has not happened in the last
making new
7
ones.
years I've been in this position, but we try.
Mr. O'Shawn?
The cost is over 800,000, 817,000?
Total, mhm.
So over the next 5 years?
Correct.
Okay. Have we done like a cost analysis on comparing other programs that to compare that, like how many?
Yes, so I got, before I do a pilot for any material, I say, give me your platinum cost. So we started with 20-some materials just because we asked every teacher, what do you want us to look at? So we kept it on a spreadsheet so we could be able to say no, why, right? When somebody then comes back to us, we want to be able to say why those things were no. I do not have the cost of all 20 of those because they didn't make it to the short list. But on the short list, so I had 3 different quotes from our top 3 in the end. This was less expensive than the other 2. So I do not let that factor into the team when we're meeting. I don't want them to know because I don't want them either way to be thinking about it. But I know behind the scenes, and I've got all my quotes sitting there. So this one was actually less expensive than the second choice. So, yep. And we didn't pay for any pilot materials. They always try and end up saying no when we ask. But we might purchase this, so, okay, fine. But,
Any other questions? All right, on to the elementary weekly.
so I think this was just an FYI, but I am here to talk about it anyway. So Studies Weekly, this is just a renewal. We have been using this since COVID. It is a digital and print resource for social studies. And when talking about like the cost and how do we know who's using it, who isn't, our teachers have had let me back up. Our teachers have had a open resource access since 2013 with the MESA units that are developed by the state. When COVID hit, we had an opportunity to, and we needed to provide something else for our students, right, for them. So we started working with Studies Weekly, and some teachers have continued with that and not the online open resource of MESA. And so every year in the spring, by grade level, by school, we ask if they are going to use the digital, the print, or both. And so every year we have the tightest quote possible, so we know that we are just purchasing what is going to be used in our classrooms. So did that again this spring, and the results are in front of you with a cost of $28,000.
Any questions about?
Study Weekly. I don't have any.
So this is basically like the weekly reader I would have grown up with.
The same idea, but it is longer and it actually looks like a newspaper, so it folds in half sort of this way instead of sideways. But it's rich in text, but it has some games in there too. And it has more content. You can get more out of it. So it's like a week's worth.
Okay.
Whereas the ones you're talking about are really like one lesson worth.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this being taught is this being done in the classroom? Or
Yes.
is this something that they taking home and just throwing on the table?
No, this is what they use in the classroom for
Use in
the
the
instruction.
classroom, so it don't go home?
It probably does once they're done with it at the end of the week, but it's not one of those additional things that here you have this, take this home.
Homework package.
This
It
is
ain't
what
no-
we're working through for the week. Here's our learning. Then you take it home.
Okay,
Yeah,
cause my concern would be that they would be taking it home, like, if we was taking the newspaper home and just, okay.
Yeah, at the end of the week, but not, it's just here, take it and maybe read it, maybe don't, but yeah, for instruction.
And what grade is this for again? I'm sorry.
K-5,
K to 5.
yep.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Ms. Brohl.
No problem. Have a good night. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That's a lot of money.
Mr. Beebe.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to present basically 5 renewals, specifically from technology. And I'm going to start with the Moselle Manager License Renewal. And once again, we're requesting approval for Moselle Manager for the iOS and Mac OS system. Moselle Manager basically allows us remote access to our iPad and Apple computer fleets throughout the district. Basically works as almost like an app store, which allows us to download into the different Mac products, as well as send out apps and other things without having to bring the Mac products into our area to provide that maintenance. So the total cost of the renewal is $49,500, which will renew the license from June 20th, 2025 to June 20th, 2026. And this will be charged to the general fund. Any questions?
Ms. May?
Did we use, COVID funds, ARP funds for this last time, or did we,
No,
or,
this
not ARP, what am I trying to think of?
Esser?
ESSER
Yes,
funds?
sir. Thank
No,
you.
this was our general funds.
Okay, it's always been the general fund?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I remember it coming before us, I just can't remember what
Right.
funding source.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about the Moselle product? Okay. I'll move on to the renewal of the Incident IQ product that we have. So basically, it is an asset management system, and the purpose is to ensure that the organization's assets are accounted for, deployed, maintained, upgraded, and disposed of when necessary. It ensures valuable technology items such as computers, smart boards are tracked and used appropriately. Our most impactful piece when we brought on Incident IQ has been our ticket management system, our help desk system. So it's been a great asset to us. We brought it on a little bit after we started coming out of the cyber event and attack. And so we have added it to our everyday help desk system, and it's proved to be very valuable. So we are asking, this cost for renewal is $40,333.67. But keeping in mind that when we added Incident IQ, we were able to change and move from our our Destiny Resource Manager, which will save us $12,891.20. All right, any questions about Incident IQ, asset management system? All right, moving on. My next item is the renewal of Inform K-12 online form system. And I know we've been in discussion around this in the past, but this is our employee absence requests, payroll process, conference approvals and reimbursement, mileage reimbursement, budget transfer requests, et cetera. And so this is a document that, this is a product that we use that moved us from hard copy documents and paper and moved us to an electronic system. So the total cost of this renewal is $45,449, and the license is from July 1st to June 30th, June 30th, 2026. And so just so you all know, this is a product that we've talked about in the past. So we did explore a few other companies that offered similar products. One was called Bamboo HR, which also our HR department is looking into different software, but it was extremely costly. So we did not pursue that. But then we also looked at Incident IQ, who has a similar product, and we found that the Inform K-12 was cheaper. And once again, it's a system that we already have in place, and that is working. Any questions on Inform K-12?
Just
Yes.
one question. I'm asking about this one and then some of the other ones that you just recently went over.
Sure.
Are we looking at a price increase on any of these from last year to this year?
There is a small price increase. I don't have it with me, but it's. I don't know if you remember this one. What we had for a short period of time because we went with it, and then I think for like 6 months. But I don't have that in front of me, but I can get that information to you.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's just a lot that has gone on, so just wondering, what are we looking at in a difference in price?
Yeah, but it's not a huge difference in price.
Thank you.
So this, the Informed K-12, this is the one-stop shop, field trips
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
Heard some complaints about this from teachers in the
Sure.
past and also currently, that it doesn't seem to always be a one-stop shop for them. Especially when it comes to arranging things like transportation. What can we do to make it possible so it truly is a one-stop shop? That they're not going into Inform K-12, fill out everything they need for their field trips, and then having to fill out another form and trying to work with transportation to make
Sure.
sure they have what they need.
Sure. So no, great question. Since then, we shared those concerns with the team at Inform K-12 specifically to address some of these issues and concerns. The thing that we found though was still the same, that it's just like any other process, like paper. It's caught on somebody's desk. Somebody hasn't opened it up. So there's been more to kind of bring those forms in front of you. So maybe folks in here can kind of attest to, it will send you an email reminding you that you have this form that is waiting on your approval.
And
For
Mr.
example,
Lee, I
yep,
can
go ahead.
add too, so everybody district-wide, you get an email when you have a form to approve. So if you're truly checking your emails in a timely manner, you can go in It is set up like a one-stop, but what happens is if somebody doesn't have an account number, or they have the date wrong, or things like that, because those are part of the checks and balances. So if you put the wrong date, I then send that back to you,
Right.
right? Because I'm not gonna approve it, so I think with teachers, rightfully so, that has been of, well, this form keeps coming back to me. The reason why forms would come back to me, or Mr. Beebe, or even to a classroom teacher, is because some of that information is incorrect. But it is truly set up that if everything's filled out appropriately and everything's correct, it literally can go through in a day. It's just a matter of having everything correct.
Okay.
Is it? Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions in Form K-12? All right. So I'll move forward with Fortinet Cybersecurity Renewal Licensing Software. So once again, we're requesting renewal. FortGate allows us protections specifically around our devices as well as our servers. It is probably one of the most well-known products in the cybersecurity industry. And along with that, we also use a product called Bitdefender. So specifically coming out of the cyber attack, it is a kind of a proven tool to help prevent, once again, that same kind of thing happening to us one more time. So the total cost of the renewal is $32,523.96, and it will renew from June 20th, 2025 to June 20th, 2026, if it is approved. Okay. Any questions about Fortinet security, cybersecurity?
I just have one quick question.
Okay.
So today I got into this really neat networking group, and there was a company called, I think it was Macro Connect, and they were talking about the cybersecurity. And it was a program, I'm not sure, Power School. Is it something kind of similar to that with the cybersecurity?
Not so much with cybersecurity. Power School is very similar to what we use MyStar. It's
MyStar.
like our data system. So Power School is very similar to that in that it performs multiple tasks, in terms of building schedules, basically student information system, parent information system, but it's not so much around cybersecurity.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No problem. Any other questions?
I have just a clarifying question. So Fortinet cybersecurity, I
Yep.
know it says renewal. Is
Yes.
that a renewal because we got this is one of the things we purchased after the cyber attack, or did we already have this and we're renewing it?
You know, that's a good question. I believe we got it.
No,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no,
I have the dates here.
we had it before the cybersecurity. Fortinet had this, one reason I oversaw technology before that.
Okay.
So we had that already in place before. Now that we use it extensively when that happened, yeah. more than-
Yeah, I think it's the 1-year threat
Yep, it's an
protection.
annual
And now
renewal,
that we
so yeah,
actually
of
had a
6/30.
threat, we
Yeah.
just, we've had it like as a just in
Just
case,
renewal.
so it's,
Yeah.
yes, we need this. I think to Mr. Beebe's point, is kind of just certified that
Yes.
cyber attacks can happen, and this is why we have those,
That's correct.
right?
Yeah.
But we did have it.
yeah. And I can't tell you how long we had it for, but I know that we've had it, I think as long as, at least 5 years, however we've been, that has been our cybersecurity company.
Okay, so then I have a follow-up question, and this is just because I'm trying to understand. So, am I hearing us say we had it, but maybe we didn't utilize it to its full capability, and now we are utilizing it to its full capability, or?
I think they probably were more, Fortnite, how do you pronounce that exactly?
Fortnite, yeah.
But they were more engaged in the process where the communication with us during that cyber attack, based on the situation more than anything. Because if they're just looking at that stuff, you're not probably getting as much communication back and forth. And I'm not an expert on this, but I know that just the executive cabinet was involved in a lot of these conversations, so I know now that I wasn't never in any of those conversations till we had that. So that's why I'm saying we were engaged a lot more than we were before. We had that coverage, but you're really not hearing much from them when things aren't happening.
Okay, so I think I understand now. So we have it as a coverage,
Yes.
right? To support us in the event of a cyber attack.
Correct.
But if we don't have a cyber attack, we just, it's almost like an insurance, like your homeowners,
They're
right?
doing
Like,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm there now.
Yeah.
I thought initially it was preventative, so that's why I was like, wait, something's not adding up
Right.
for me, but now it adds up, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing like a clarifying question.
All right. Any other questions about Fortinet? All right. And then the last piece is for really Mitel. This is our phone system that works in conjunction with MOS. And so, once again, we're asking the board to approve payment of $35,029 from July 12th, 2025 to July, I got this as a typo, July 11th, 2026. And this will be covered by the general fund. Basically, this is paying to maintain the current phone system that we have for the next year. Any questions?
How long have we been with this service, this phone?
That is a good question. I can get that information to you, but it's been a long time. And we are we're looking at some other companies as well.
Okay.
Yep, in the process. And as we're going into, hopefully, the bond, we're looking at some other phone systems as well, because we've had this for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was asking that because if we had it for a long time, is there room to negotiate a lower price because we've been with them for so long?
I don't necessarily know that there's the ability to negotiate in terms of the price that they have. And Moss has been we work with them in a number of areas, so they're pretty solid on price.
Okay.
But we're also looking at a better product over time, because once again, we've been with them a long time, so, yeah.
One question.
Yes.
With the phones and the cybersecurity, so those phones are linked all together? Because remember how the phones was out when they had that ransomware? So was that the same company? Like, how does that work?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, probably not explaining
you're
it correctly. So I'm just, with the cyber, attack that we had, and then it kind of disabled like the phone lines, and with that company, do they have like any guarantees or something with that company if something like that was to happen again, so they don't get locked, we don't get locked out of our phones?
That's a great question. So as you talk about the cyber attack, once again, it's not so much once you have a cyber attack, can an attack not happen or happen to you? The question is, if or when it happens, what is your level of backups in terms of you maintaining information monthly, weekly? How far do your backups go, so that if you have to cut your system off, you know what I mean, because you see a cyber attack, you cut off your system, but then how far back do you have to go in order to secure the information? So our team does a really good job of updating and making sure our backups are in place, so that once the system is restored, it's operational once again very quickly. So,
Thank you.
and I will say we've learned a lot through this whole cyber attack, and how we do business has probably changed quite a bit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is, so this is the service that we use now?
Yes.
Because our phones, we had phones out today.
Well, I can speak to that. Yeah. So there was a line that was dug up
Okay?
in a certain area. So that's like totally different.
Yeah,
than
so that's what was
Yeah.
going on today?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they found that, and we've got a team out replacing the fiber now, and they're working
Okay.
on it now. So,
Okay.
but it's not a cyber attack or anything, fortunately.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Beebe.
Thank you. All have a good night.
Thank you.
So-
You too.
Ms. Curry, who's filling in for Dr. O'Feely tonight?
Miss Claire.
I'm filling in for Dr. O'Feely. We are asking you to approve at the board meeting, a 3-year contract with our secretaries. They're called WISA. It's attractive package. We try to keep our good employees, retain them, and get good employees. Most of these employees live in the community, and they're also kind of ambassadors for us in the community. It describes the differences here. In the first year, it'll cost us $248,952. Year 2, $308,000, $326,000. Year 3, $364,000, $736,000. Any questions about the contract?
Mr. Cox, do you have any questions?
No, just happy about it,
You are?
yes.
Okay, good. We always strive for that.
Anyone have any questions over the contract for the secretaries?
Is this transportation?
No, it's
Secretaries?
Thank you for your work.
Great
You and
job.
Dr.
Thank
O'Feely,
you
thank
so
you for
very
this.
much.
Okay, I'm next. The next contract is with BOSS. It's the Brotherhood of Specialized Skilled Trades. It's our mechanics, electricians, plumbers, heating and cooling people. And let me see if I can find the page. It has the dollar amounts on it. Here we go. Year 1, 100,806. Year 2, 88,252. 92,898 for this group. It's pretty small, small group, but they keep us happy. So we're trying to keep them happy too.
So this is the, yeah.
I do have a question.
Yes?
Mrs. Claire, can you speak a little bit about the qualification bonus? Just what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this year, when we negotiated, we had something called a retention bonus. And we wanted to make it a reason for it, like, besides just, you came back, thanks, and here's a bonus for this year. So if we looked at each group, and like, if we had an attendance issue, we would make, okay, you can get the bonus, but this is the criteria. So with every group, we looked at, we can't just take this away from them, they're used to it, but can we put some strings on this that will also help us, get in the, our operations? And so with this group, they pay a lot to maintain their certification. They've gone to, school, stuff like that. And in order to maintain that, that's what we're attaching to their bonus. So we're calling it that for them. And you'll see a theme here as we negotiate these. We've attached that bonus to something that we can get out of it, other than they just came back to work for the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, as a,
Okay, this is, we'd like to renew our, food service contract with Aramark. We got them, I think, started last year. This is our renewal, and, I have to get board approval for that. It's a 3.1 increase, and it's only 5,700, an estimate of 5,728.93 more over this next year.
Is this a annual renewal? Okay.
Annual renewal.
Question, I'm not sure, how do we go through the process of renewing the full contract? Is there other vendors, other companies that we go through? What does that process look like?
Well, the employees are ours.
Mhm.
That's why it's such
Okay.
a small amount.
Mhm.
The food service people are ours. So we're contracting with, the director, or the person that runs the program is paid by them, and they're in this contract. And, I'm sorry.
I can speak a little bit to it. The
Okay.
director is the only employee for Aramark.
Okay.
And to go back just a little bit, just to give you some background, and some of the board members were aware of this. We had some issues with Aramark going back 3 years ago. They replaced their food service director. It's been like night and day. And I've been with different food service or food companies for schools, and we did look outside, and this was 2 years ago. And I can't say enough about what they've done in the last at least 2 years. And you guys probably should feel this too, because you were getting emails, and you would still be getting emails right now if they weren't doing a good job. Because right away people will send emails to either executive cabinet or the board when the lunches aren't right or the food isn't right. So if you haven't heard anything, it's usually a good thing. And I know that I have, and I oversee food service, so I can speak to that personally.
If I may add, I recall that circumstance, and the board was invited to have a lunch similar to the lunch that the children would have, and that was the only experience we needed to make a change. It was terrible. We wouldn't have fed it to our own children, and these are our own children, so. And along those lines, you know, we look at the contracts and some of the things that we've done. What can we do to pick up the kids' lunch game a little bit?
Make suggestions, get input from them in regards to making the food quality or products. You're saying like a higher level?
Yes.
That would
Yes,
be-
I would like them to have more delicious and more nutritional food available to them. And to the people that work for us, that work with this, do they have, you know, if they could change this, they'd change this?
I can't speak to what I know that right now the director works directly with them in regards to their suggestions for things. They were very instrumental in our after-school feeding program, and I want to compliment them on that, because we have the after-school feeding program at both of our high schools that any student that's involved in any after-school activity, Earmark feeds them. And those meals, I've actually had them myself, because I went over there before, not this year, but last year for like their games and stuff before games, and they did an amazing job. And the people who serve it do an amazing job too, because you know, sometimes you get kids after school and they're a little bit rowdy. They were able to control that space and be able to at least get to the right person to control those spaces. But we're still doing the after-school feeding program, and they're doing that for us, which is pretty unique to school districts to have that opportunity for comprehensive high school kids that stay after to have some type of a meal at the end. Along with our breakfast program too, but I can just speak to that's something that's pretty unique to our district.
So is there something else that we can do?
Yes. You know, we can say, you know, we can up the game, tell them to spend, you know, X amount more per lunch towards healthier. We do have a lot of grants, you know, they want you to buy local produce from nearby, you know, places, farms and stuff like that, which, you know, we don't, we're able to do apples and there's some stuff like that around. But, yeah, if we want to, our food service program, when I show you the budget, it does make money. It's a profitable, you know, it's not huge, but if we make a decision that we wanna spend, you know, 20, whatever we decide, more on the lunches, we can do that. We don't, our lunches right now are free to the kids.
And
Probably just-
Mr. Toko, don't we have to go out every 5 years?
Every 5 years, we have to go out for a bid. But to your question,
Or at least I'd like to know, if for another $20,000 a year we can offer,
We
I'd like
could.
to know that.
We
Your
could do-
initial
And I would
que-
like it to be less processed if possible and more nutritious, you know.
Your initial question is a solid question in regards to, yes, we
It's
can.
true.
Have we done that with them? But no, we can. It's coming to our attention. Our students should play a role in that, and our buildings level leaders too, to know what they're getting currently and how we could upgrade it. I think, you know, if a kid is not fed correctly, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Right.
we're not gonna be able to educate them. We know that. So to me, and I think everyone that in our cabinet, this is very important. So it's not just hey, we got a company that gives us lunch. This is as important as our curriculum decisions.
That's right, the food has to be, it has to taste good, it has to be
100%.
nutritionally sound.
Yep.
And everyone else is getting a kick around here. Let's take care of that.
I don't
And-
disagree with you, but I think there needs to be a process and not just our input, the people who are eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would recommend getting at the high school levels and the middle schools, the student councils involved in talking about what they would like to see in terms of food, because they're the ones that are closest to the student body. They represent them.
Yeah, we've heard that from the board, and probably in the past year more than I've heard it in regards to getting student voice. So I do agree with that in regards to hearing from them and letting them know. And to Ms. Curry's statement that we did, when we had to renew them, because it was a 5-year process, and I was here, I think it was right my first or second year, we did get the students to give us comments, feedbacks, our building leaders and so on. But I think it's a great question, and I don't think we're wasting enough time. We haven't put enough time into that, because what the students are eating is important, and it has to be important to us, because if it's not important to us, we're not gonna be able to change it.
Yeah. And just a follow-up, I agree with everything that has been said. Are we currently providing options for our students that don't necessarily eat pork, our students that are vegetarian?
Yes, they do have
Okay,
options for
okay.
sure on that. That's all, I think that's state law almost, yeah, you have to have
Okay,
that.
and then,
And it's
but
dated.
then are we also, to Mr. Cox's point, providing, and I guess this kind of answers this question, but just along those lines of the variety of foods, right? Because we have so many different cultures attending our schools, so are we
I think
providing a variety of cultural choices? in
I
food?
think we are given a variety. I don't think to the extent or the level that we need to. So to answer your question.
And that may come out through the student surveys, right?
Correct,
They
and
would like to see.
I completely agree with the comments. And I know I didn't want to interject, but the only reason I'm even doing it is because I oversee food service, but I 100% agree with food choices and feeding kids correctly. Going back when I was a kid, if I didn't have food at school, it was going to be hard not to have a meal, not being fed after school and in the lunch and the breakfast. Some kids will say they hated the school lunch. I loved them,
Yeah.
So I can tell you it's important to us.
So
And
Scott, I do think you hear the board saying to move forward. with,
Yes.
Looking at some,
to spend some money if we have to too.
yeah.
And wait till the other schools find out they get coffee and cake after.
One comment I want to
Coffee
make
cake and cinnamon rolls.
is if we can implement some type of annual student group, student council, where they annually give us surveys on, what the food tastes like. Not just a black and white survey, but some type of group within our district, within our school district, to where they can say, okay, this year we're going to look at this for our meals, and how can we enhance that?
Most
So
definitely.
there's something that's already in place, so we don't have to say, hey, let's send out some surveys, but have the students every year involved in the process.
I can talk to the director and have him put those surveys out. The reality is it's gonna happen this year for sure, because it's come to our attention. And I'm glad it did, because.
Mr. Choco, they probably do a tasting, like you bring,
Yeah.
Mark would bring in a whole bunch of foods,
That
and
would
you
be
bring in
great.
students, and they do a tasting.
Yeah,
An
And then
annual
from
tasting
there,
sounds
right,
great,
like
yeah.
it's a good idea.
Yeah, like you could
I-
probably.
All
do it
this
that way.
conversation's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, because food is important. I mean, just like I said, we had
Dairy.
an hour of
This is
curriculum.
Yeah, I'll be
It's
here.
as important as the curriculum we use to teach our kids, so.
I just have one last question.
Yes, Ms. Hines?
Just in regard with the food program, like what cuts, are we gonna be having any cuts with our free breakfast, lunch, and dinner with things?
Nothing
Are we
yet.
good?
I mean,
Okay.
nothing that's came through. And I think that, I'm not speaking for the board or for everyone here, but I think even if we did, we would make sure that the kids had it anyways.
We would eat into the,
To make sure
provide
that
it free.
it's that
Yep.
important to those kids, especially the kids that are dependent on it right now. We started the after-school feeding program at the high school like 3 years ago. Some of those kids are dependent on that meal now.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
may be the only meals they're getting.
And that's the key
Are the
point.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner that we are providing, and the weekends, I think they get to bring home
Yeah, the
Yep.
some
bus-
stuff to get them through.
backpacks, the buses and the backpacks or something like
Yep.
that.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm concerned so much about the nutritional value of the food, not just carbohydrate offerings that,
I get it.
satiate you temporarily. It's gotta be quality.
Correct.
And we can do it. And should do it.
The key is if it's there, the kids are gonna eat it, if they're hungry. But we gotta make sure that it's good food that they're eating, not just stuff that, hey, we fed the kids a honey bun and an apple.
Right, right.
I don't disagree with you at all, and I think this is the first conversation that we've had with the board regarding this, and I love it. So,
And as my colleague
yeah.
said, you know, if we contacted the kids at the high school and the kids at the, I bet they would, the first thing out of there, they'd throw one of those offerings right overboard. You know, there's gotta be something that's last.
For sure.
And there might be something out there they're not getting that we can,
And I can speak to Brian, and actually, once we do that, at some point at one of our meetings, going into this school year, I'll have some feedback regarding that survey and what we're doing different. And I do like Ms. Curry's suggestion of actually bringing some sample to the students to try to see what they like and what they don't like. But it's good conversation.
yeah.
Any other questions about the food service? All right, moving on to the Maisel.
Maisel is our current insurance company for all our insurance needs. We went out and started, you know, our insurance is going up every year, so we went out and just to get a ballpark figure, we got a estimate from another company, Setseg, and that's just one. I'll get some other numbers too, but Maisel requires a year in advance to, if you want to leave them and go to another carrier. So I'm asking for the board to approve us to change insurance companies, but that would be next year, wouldn't be this year. But the other company is $116,100 less than the current insurance company that we have. So that's enough to feed some kids.
Ms. Hines?
One question, like, even though we're changing, like, the companies, will the benefits be as rich or will they be worse, like, sometimes with insurance?
They quoted us the same that we gave them our policy. They quoted us the same, but we might look at, have some conversation, because the price between a $5,000 and a $10,000 deductible is quite even more savings. So there'll be some discussions over the year, like how many claims would that be, and the savings, and trying to offset that.
And a lot of times we have those supplementals, it saves a lot of money too with the employers, in a way the employees don't have to pay as much with those deductibles, that kind of cut some of the costs.
Oh, this is not this is not health insurance for our employees. This is our buildings,
Oh, okay.
Property.
Yeah, property, okay.
yeah, it's all that.
Okay.
Now, the old claims stay with the old company, and they continue to settle those, and the new starts with the new.
Oh, that's good, thank you.
So, I'm sorry, can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Jewel, thank you for this work, Mrs. Claire, I'm sorry. Thank you for doing this work and even lifting this and noticing, that we needed to look at something different. I'm just wondering, if we notify them and say, hey, we're not gonna renew, right? But then as we start this process, we realize like, oh, there are some better things over here. You know what I mean? Like maybe we should stay. Will we still have that option to go
Yes.
back to them? Okay, perfect. And we wouldn't have to wait a year to go back?
No.
'Cause we gave them a year, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Claire about the insurance?
Okay, me again. Property taxes, the L-4029, we've given copies of those in preparation for a vote next, at the next meeting. This is required by law that we get your approval before we tax our, what do we say? The people in our communities. So there's two here, Dearborn Heights, the rates are the same. For some reason, Dearborn Heights does it twice a year, and the others do it once a year, send their tax bills out. So, we're gonna get our full 18 mills, because remember, we got that, hedge voted in, so now we get that full 18 mills. And, the debt is at 4.48, and the sinking fund is .90804. So, hopefully, we'll vote that in for our next meeting. Those will have to be signed that evening, because the county, the cities want them right away. We've already provided drafts, but they won't print the bills until we, give them that signed copy. Okay,
One more question.
oh, sure.
Because I know that one year we had an issue with the overcharging with the county and stuff like that. Did they get everything squared away so it won't be a problem in the future?
Right, yep, that won't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to talk about the thing that I'll go into a little review about the bond?
I don't know, where is it?
It's coming up right now.
Okay, there's nothing happening.
The resolution, that's all, just the
Okay,
resolution. I can talk, let me talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
So today we met with our bond committee, and we reviewed our a bond application that next Wednesday we're going to take to Treasury. So we went through that with all stakeholders in that process to make sure the information was all correct before it goes to Treasury. Next Wednesday it will go to Treasury. Just to give you a little bit of background with the Treasury, it'll go to Treasury. They'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that everything is correct. And then they'll get back with us. I'm sure, going through this process, they always find something in that they want different. But we will be on a phone call next week with Treasury, and then we will be bringing it to you on the 16th to vote on. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask.
It's $125 million. It's no increase in taxes to the community. And if you, I kind of, my helpers, they stuck this in your spot, and it's just I thought it was a very nice document showing where we are against other people as far as our sinking fund and our bonds. And as you can see, we're like right, we're below the average. So I feel like we're being pretty good about our build, especially because, we're a large district, and, our buildings, I wouldn't say they're old, but,
They're old.
they're old, okay. So I feel like this shows that we're being pretty responsible with our dollars, that we're not going crazy. We're right in the average there.
The bond marketing campaign will really pick up in the July, August, September, going into the November vote date. So you guys will be getting more information. But I think, like Ms. Claire said, the number one thing to make sure that you broadcast out when people ask you questions is it's a 0% increase, which is that's one of the major focuses by most of our voters. Of course, the stuff that we're doing, our needs that we need, that we're just following through on some of the projects from the previous bond, and to keep our buildings warm, safe, and dry. It's not one of these big wow bonds, like a whole bunch of different things that you can do outside of the scope of the major components like roofs, parking lots, heating and cooling systems. We're basically making sure that anything we didn't finish in the last bond, all of our buildings are going to be the same. And so we're providing all of our buildings, especially Walker Winter will be getting all the upgrades that the other district buildings got in the previous bond. So that was the building that we're going to put the most money into in this bond. And as I said, we'll be talking about this for the next 4 months, right up till November. If you have any questions?
I have a question. I don't know how timely it is because it's kind of behind the 8 ball, but the traffic around our elementary schools as parents continue to come to the school to pick up their children. You know exactly what it is.
It's perfect timing for that question, Mr. Cox. we just made the decision we've been working with the police chief in Wayne and in Westland. So the district is going to be purchasing those signs, those 25 miles per hour signs that go in front of schools. I can say personally, they make me slow down. So I do think that they're productive, and I think that will definitely make a difference. Getting back to your comment in regards to the traffic patterns, we are going to take a look at that too and have a professional take a look at our traffic patterns at a couple of our buildings for sure. But they are going to put speed bumps in front of Taft. City of Wayne is putting the speed bumps there, along with when we put that sign up there. I think that's going to help that situation. But I truly believe that situation is a little bit unique because of the narrowness of that road in front of, if you guys know what I'm talking about, and just how that traffic pattern, if you could go back and put that building in a completely different place on that property, you would have
It would have changed everything.
Oh. Every
time.
time I go by there, I'm like,
90
God, why
degrees.
did they put this building here? This caused all the traffic problems.
Yeah,
I have no idea why someone would do that. It's not my expertise, but I know enough to know this is why there's a problem here. But there is, it's a good question because we are going to look at traffic patterns, and I'm just gonna go off the top of my head, Wildwood, Taft.
stop there, because right there, the property exists to bring cars in a loop.
Yeah.
And get them off that, and get some of them off that street, because once they fill up the street, that's when it gets hairy.
Yep.
So,
Correct.
anyway.
No, but we are looking into that because if it's not every day, it's every other day. I'm getting a concern from either a parent, a principal, and we have 3 right now, specific buildings that are really struggling with it.
I asked a couple parents that were waiting for the kids, without telling them who I was, just asking them a question as I'm driving by. I could tell you that the level of frustration was very high.
Yes.
So-
The level of, and just in my career, of parents that take their kids to school now and they don't take the bus has increased dramatically, especially in our district too.
Yeah.
So that, the traffic patterns weren't designed for 300, or if you have 500 kids in
of
it,
course not.
they weren't designed for 300 of those parents to drop their kids off and pick them up. So that issue exists in every district. I can speak to that because we had the same problems in our districts I've been to. So buildings were not built, and the traffic patterns were not built for at least half of the parents to drop kids off. So that's where we're gonna struggle with. That's gonna be an ongoing thing, and I think most districts deal with that. And that's what I try to tell parents and administrators, that this is not any different. It's just the way society has changed, and parents feel more comfortable driving their kids to school than taking the bus.
But it's been changed for some time now.
I agree.
And we passed a couple of bond issues without dealing with it, so.
Well, we're definitely gonna look at it.
With purchasing those stop signs, those digital stop signs, will the cities, Westland or Wayne, maybe pay for the implementation of it, putting it in?
We're gonna have that conversation, because they have come to us regarding it. So, to not say too much, but we're gonna have that conversation in regards to where we could either split the cost. It benefits them too. The biggest thing that we're gonna ask the police departments, and they've been very supportive in this process, but the biggest thing we're gonna ask them is to enforce it. If you've ever been on Marquette at any time, you're gonna see someone pulled over. And I know it could have been me several times too if I didn't see that sign. Especially when I started working here. Those signs work. I can personally say they help you to slow down. And I think Westland Police Department does an amazing job in regards to monitoring Marquette. Because very rarely can you go by without a car being pulled over. And I think when we get those, they'll have a better opportunity. And they're going to, when we place them, they're going to be with us where we place those signs too. That's going to be conducive to them being able to monitor it. Because if you're not giving tickets, to be honest with you, with those signs, then they're useless. Because if people don't see people getting pulled over, then they can just see that sign and say, whatever. I've never seen anyone pulled over. I can speak for myself. That Marquette is always someone pulled over.
Yeah, and it's awfully easy to to go faster than 25 on Marquette.
It sure is. And if we can work with the key is with these signs is being able, because we're not the ones that are gonna be able to enforce it. The key is to have that relationship with our police department to be able to support us and let's just be honest, give those tickets, because people aren't gonna slow down or not gonna, and if that doesn't happen, these things will be, is not as productive as they should be.
Any other questions? All right, Ms. Claire, let's move on to our year-end budget resolution that we are going to have to vote on next meeting.
So I have a PowerPoint and then I have the two budgets. So I'm gonna do the PowerPoint, and if you guys wanna flip around on the budgets, or you can look at the PowerPoint and ask questions about, I will go over these, afterward. After I do this, I just can't, I'm not good at it, I guess, flipping back and forth like that. So I'm gonna do the PowerPoint first, and then I'm gonna go over each budget for 24-25, then 25-26. So I gotta do this machine here. You know how to do it?
I can help you. I just gotta point at it.
I don't think that worked. No, I think I do this one. Okay. So, some of the reasons what goes on in each fund. You'll notice when we see the financials, we have a lot of funds. Probably the most I've ever seen at any district, but I'm sure there's others that have a lot. So the first fund is the biggest one, the general fund. What goes into it is local, state, federal, other financing sources, which is basically RESA, could give us money. And fund modifications is when we transfer money back and forth from other funds. So the locals, property taxes, athletics, rental of our buildings, we get interest, we get Medicaid. I'm just gonna mention too, I kept that in. I'm gonna make an assumption that Medicaid will continue this year. We get per pupil funding and state categoricals from the state. We have federal grants. Most of them go in our grant fund, but there's a few that are over here. Yeah, under other funding, like I said, is mostly RESA, and then fund modifications are indirects you get from your grants, general fund, and transfers from other funds. So, okay, I'm sorry, this is, okay, did I?
Yeah, you had the right one. Right?
All right, so on the general fund, this is where we're gonna end up this year. The estimated revenue is 139,000, expenses I estimate, and we'll see the detail when we get to the actual, or you can see them on those statements. I'm estimating an net income of 1.2 million. Our fund balance will go up a little bit, and it'll bring it to 24.12%. I have updated these expenses to include the new. Okay, what am I doing wrong?
There you go.
No, now I went to. You want to? Okay, I've updated them for the new contracts. This year, all we had was well, they're always upgrade, increases, but this year was the teachers and the principals, but next year I'll have everybody's new ones in there. I've updated it for everything I know, everything we've gotten so far, and any anticipated revenue. I've looked at where we are with expenses and increased it to where I think we're gonna end up at the year end. Oh, for the 25-26 general fund, I've increased, the revenue, the only thing I've done, everything looks the same on our budget for the revenue, except I've increased it $400 a student which is very modest. That's the lowest. So I wanted to go worst case scenario, we're gonna get the 400, and that's why I used it. So for 25, 26, there's unknowns, obviously, we don't even have the state doesn't have a budget, so we're going with, $400 and keeping Medicaid at this point. We may have the sale of the land might go through next year, and it might go, I don't wanna spend that money before it's in the house. We're hoping the state revenue goes up and that we find new grants. We're always searching for grants. Our fund balance for 26, 27 is estimated just to go up a very small amount. I've included a curriculum in that budget for $1 million of curriculum. And that is the only changes I've made for the following year in the except I increased for the raises. And that's it. The special ed fund is used for, it's funded by state aid, and Wayne Risa gives us money to run that program. We get indirects, we make the indirects, and we get a rent to do that center program. The fund always has a zero fund balance. We, whatever we spend, we get reimbursed by Risa after we allocate a portion of our state aid to it. The grant fund, these are some of the grants. We had just a teeny little bit of ESSER this year. We're gonna have a large grant filter first to do the water filter, where the kids can fill up their water bottles. Title, we're probably gonna be at the same. We're hoping that it just stays the same. This fund always equals zero because the grants, we only spend what they allocate us. If we don't spend it, it has to be deferred. The grant fund helps us by covering expenses that would have been paid by general fund, and it also gives those indirects. Food service, when we look at that fund, it provides a profit, a profit every year. We get some state, federal, and local funds for that. We also do some catering and a la carte sales, besides the children eating free and getting the money from the state. Our sinking fund is used for repairs to buildings, not the large expenses like the bond, but just some repairs, keeping those buildings up. If you have to do all that in your general fund, it really is hard. So, and this is also used between bonds. If something really bad happens to one of our buildings, at least we have something we can use even between those bonds. This year we approved buses again. They usually take 2 years to come in, but I put it in 26, 27 in case they do. We're on that constant rotation of buses. And security cameras, we always are buying. And then the bond fund, we expect it will end this year. We will have fully spent our funds, and we're gonna have to pay some arbitrage fees because our interest was higher on that bank account than what the state allows us to get on bonds. Debt retirement, it just pays off the payments that we still owe from getting the bonds. So we sell the bonds, but there's a part of it that we have to cover through a debt retirement fund. School activities are all of our kids' clubs. They're funded by donations, fundraising. We have some scholarships where people have bequested us funds to give a scholarship in the name of a person or for a purpose or reason. I budgeted a small increase in fund balance there. Overall, it's been a good year. Future's uncertain, but we're in a good place. If things really do go bad, we do have a good fund balance. Not that I ever want to touch it, but if we have to, it's there as a cushion. We finished all the contracts. You will be approving the rest of them at the next meeting, so that is over. We have provided our employees good raises, but we're going to be diligent. We're not going to have extra staff for general fund. Things will be funded by grants, or we won't be doing them. So I'm asking for you to approve these budgets at the next meeting, because I feel that we're being pretty reasonable in our expenditures. Okay, so I'm gonna go over these really quick. 24-25, we'll just go fund by fund. If you have any questions, stop me. So this is the general fund where I'm saying that we'll have the 1.2 million in, adding to the fund balance. It's not a huge amount, but we did have some cost for 181,000. There's some debt fees we had to pay by borrowing that $30 million. There was cost in issuance and stuff like that, and that'll go away. But this year it's in there. Like I said, we only did the 400 in the state revenue. Otherwise, it's the same. And these have been, these are estimated at where we're gonna end up this year based on what I can see in the ledger at this time. Any questions about general fund?
I have a question. So I thought about with the $30 million loan, I thought we put that in, I don't know the names, right, but we put it in something so that it would generate interest, and that would be the money that we would use to pay the interest on that. Is that not?
Right.
Okay.
So the $30 million, when I show the investment report, you'll see that there's never the 30 million on there, because it's held in a trust account between us and the state of Michigan. And in August, when that's due, that state aid note is due, they're just gonna go and take that money. It's in a special account that's only allowed to make as much interest as what we would have paid. So we're not allowed to, at first I thought, oh, well, at least we'll get the interest. No, sorry, not allowed. So that will go away we do have a liability on our books for it, but that'll go away. And they will, so we're not getting any interest on it, but we're not expensing. We do have a little bit of interest in the time we had the money before it was transferred to them. We did earn a little bit of interest, but that has to be paid.
So that's the 180,000 you just.
That's the 180, but that 180 is also, there's a lawyer.
Right,
you
okay.
know, there was cost in
Gotcha.
borrowing the $30
Okay.
million that we can't do nothing about.
Yep, that makes sense now. I just wanted to make sure, because we talked about it, and we talked about it kind of being a wash.
Yep.
But then.
It's a wash
Yeah,
except
that,
for
but it's not.
those costs that we,
Get incured to get the loan.
yes. Special ed, you'll see that that's a zero bottom line, and we don't have a fund balance there. But that, it does, like I said, send us some money over to general fund. Same with the federal and state grants, the expenses equal the revenue. It's not made to make money. It's to offload some of our expenses from general fund and get that indirects. Food service, you can see this, the year we've made $357,490. That's after we get $300,000 on that fund modifications. We're taking that, general fund's taking that for running, it costs to do payroll, it's the indirects. So we're taking 300. If the program ever got to where it wasn't making, of course, we wouldn't, we would take less. But we still have a good program going, and we could, like I said, like you asked, we could upgrade the food and eat a little bit, not make a profit on it. Sinking fund, we've haven't had to dip much into this. That's why we get about 2.5 million of property taxes a year, and that fund balance keeps rolling over. We are buying the buses. That's what's under transportation, and then we have some other smaller projects in facilities. Bond fund, you see, we're gonna use up the whole rest of, by the end of the year, it'll be completely expended. You'll see revenue, there's no bottom line there, there's no fund balance, it's over. We'll set up a whole new fund for the new bond, and it'll have a separate bank account, and will be accounted for completely separate. And then our debt retirement, we made our payments in May. We have a little bit of a fund balance there, and that's pretty much, almost all of it goes out pretty much every year in the payments. And then this is the school clubs, just a little revenue, net income of 43,000. That's all for the 24-25 year. That's it. Do you have any questions about 24-25? No? Okay, 25-26. It's not gonna be a lot to look at here. I have, like I said, the $400, I increased the state revenue, and also included the new raises, and included $1 million for curriculum. So this is a first, budget. Of course, it's not gonna be accurate. Things are gonna happen. And so I'll do another amendment in December, half year at least. And we'll go back and see how things are going, because we'll probably get more revenue than 400, but I'm not gonna, I'm too scared to put it in.
What was the count? Base what count did you?
I use the same, everything the same. If we stay the same and we only get 400, we'll still be almost, at break even. So I'm sure it's gonna be better than this.
So you're using the same pupil count as last year? too?
Yes.
And you're estimating right now 33.5 million as a fund balance as of June
Yes.
30th next year.
Yep. Which would be a 23.35.
Mrs. Claire, when you said you put the contracts in here, the other two that haven't come to us are included as well, so all four?
Yes, everybody's raises are in here, even the ones that you haven't approved yet. I know, but I'm putting worst case scenario here, okay? I'm going all the way with the
I was
worst.
just wondering if Luana was gonna have something to say about that.
What, leave me alone.
Ms. Hines?
Yeah, quick question. Didn't the governor do like a raise for the per pupil funding this year or recently? They were talking about at Mackinac Island or something. She was gonna do an increase.
Nothing's been approved. I think that, the House has a number, the governor has a number, who else?
Yeah,
Everyone has a number.
That's it, yeah.
And the lowest number is 400, so I went with the lowest number.
You went to the lowest number, 400.
Yeah, 400 per pupil, and using the same pupil count.
That makes sense, it's better to go low than
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Till we know.
We really won't know
Yeah.
until what, mid-July?
That was smart.
Maybe.
I said something.
No one cares what it goes up.
Right.
The special ed, basically, I didn't even change it. It's zero, bottom line, I kept everything the same on there. we don't know how many kids, or, you know, just, everything's up in the air, so it's pretty much, it's just the same thing. Again, same thing again on the grants. We'll get new grants, some will fall away, but it just doesn't affect the bottom line. None of, like title, we left this, everything's gonna be the same, so we know something. Food service, the same, pretty much. Gonna make, now, you know, obviously in my, when I do the next one, if we decide to, you know, upgrade the food and stuff, it might have a different fund balance, but we're not gonna be in a deficit at all in that fund. Okay, sinking fund, we're gonna be spending some money next year. We got the filter first, those filters, they're giving us 800,000, but guess what? It costs $1 million more than that to do it. Cause they're gonna give us the things to put in, but we have to knock in the walls and plumb and do all that. So that's a $1 million estimate to put those in. And what do I have in here? The additional buses. And then I just have $1 million in there for whatever may happen in the year. Something bad happens. I won't have to come back to you and ask. If it's under the $1 million, I'm okay. If it's $1 million, I have to come and ask. Bonds, it's just empty. Look, wow, it's gone. There's no bonds. Poof, there's no bonds in that year. And debt retirement, I'm gonna assume the same. We're gonna pay those payments in May, and we're gonna get about the same amount of money. And the student clubs, I put a larger fund balance, you know, just a little bit more than I did this year, because I already know that it's not all that great this year. They spent pretty much. So that's all. I know you're getting tired of me, but if you have any. Okay, state aid. There's nothing, no new revenue on state aid. It's pretty much just giving us the same amount every month till we get to, this is what, our 8th payment? Wait, of our 12th, we'll have 4 more of these. So, yeah, there's nothing new on here than there was. Even on the state aid school update, the only thing they're talking about is early warnings and indirect costs. The rates they developed, they do it every year, so there's nothing there. We don't have any early warning. We don't have any of these issues, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. Check register. We spent $859 on all funds in the month of May. If there's ever anything on there you want to ask about, you can always ask me, send something. The investment report, our cash is still strong. We're just a hair under what we were last month. We are, the general fund actually went up. Debt fund went down because we made those payments in May. And the other funds, pretty close. So general fund covered that difference pretty much in debt, and we pretty much have the same amount of cash. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Wait.
Citizen
Okay.
Citizens' comment.
Okay, I'm done talking.
Thank you so much.
Crowd erupts in applause.
We
Yeah.
appreciate you.
She's done talking.
We appreciate you.
No, thank you so much for the details. As much as you may seem like it wasn't detailed, it really was for us, and thank you for explaining it all in layman terms. So we appreciate that. We are now at item 355.25, citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Mrs. Hines, do we have any? All right, we are now at 356.25. Interim superintendent's comments, Mrs. Curry.
Thank you. Thank you to the team for presenting tonight. It was a wealth of information. Next week, as you know, is our last week of school. We're down to 3 days, so we truly hope that everybody has a restful summer. And then I just wanted to share that I will be on vacation during the June board meeting, so I will not be in attendance. I'll be on vacation with my family, so, but yeah, so thank you.
Thank you. We are now at 357.25, adjournment to a closed session. I am looking for a motion, please.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Mrs. Hines, will you please call roll?
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Rashawn?
Yes.
Ms. Hines, yes. Mr. Ambrose?
Yes.
Ms. Amber Mitchell?
Yes.
President May?
Yes.
6-0. Approved.
Thank you. We are now moving to closed session. The time is 7:02. Bringing us back, it's 7:45 p.m. Looking for a motion to move us back into
So
open
moved.
meeting.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. At this point, prior to going into review and recommendations, I am very happy to report out that the board completed the evaluation of Mrs. Jen Curry, and she received an effective evaluation. Yes. And with that, I would just like to say to her, thank you for your service and your commitment to our district. We have really enjoyed working with you in this role, so thank you so very much. Thank you. And next, we are at 359.25, review and recommendations of the Board of Education. And I will start with Mrs. Hines.
All righty. Well, we had a great time. Appreciate every work that you did on the board. I was excited. Today, they had a grand opening for the Recovery Action Network of Michigan. It's a really good organization that helps people that have addiction problems. I've been doing a lot of work with Robbie over in Hype, and so it was open today. So it's on Wayne Road. So if any families are having any issues with like addiction, things of that nature, it's a really good organization. It was fun to be able to give lots and lots of kids over maybe like 500 diplomas over the weekend. I've been bragging to all my fellow Wayne alums that Wayne Memorial did $17.5 million in scholarships, which is super amazing. And I think John Glenn did $3.5 million. And I like to attribute a lot of those scholarships to the Upward Bound program. When I went to high school, I was in Upward Bound. I think that made a big difference in my life choices and being higher educated, double master's degree, be on the Board of Education. So those kind of programs are really important to have. And I'd like to thank all the kids for all their hard work and, being graduated, and as a board member, helping them take their next steps in life to be successful, and hopefully they get really good careers on whatever they decide to do. And then there is an event that we're hosting where I'm actually helping put it on. It's going to be a charity event at City Hall in Westland, June the 24th. From 6 to 9, we have the Honorable Chair Alicia Bell is going to be our speaker. We have Tina Williams, a grant writer, and we have Melissa Sampe, our councilwoman, and we have a spoken word person coming out. And the nice thing about this charity event is being sponsored by the City of Westland, Livonia Chamber of Commerce. We got Schoolcraft College to support us. And the money that we raise for the charity event at City Hall is going to go to families in the community, like Wayne Westland, Inkster, Romulus, Wayne, all the way to Detroit, to help the families with food, diapers, clothing, wipes, and child care vouchers, because there's a lot going on in the community. So we want to, bring all the communities together for this amazing charity event. And I'd like to say that's all, folks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hines. Mr. Roshan?
Yes, I want to thank everyone that presented today. I want to thank the district as a whole. I know we have 3 more days next week, but I think this year has been a successful year. I want to thank Ms. Curry for her hard work. Me being, again, a new school board member this year, I was just curious on how information would be disseminated, how I'll be able to just be caught up to speed on everything, and Ms. Curry definitely assisted in that, and I appreciate her for that. I want to also congratulate the seniors in our district. Last week we had our graduations. It's my first time attending all of the graduation ceremonies, and I enjoyed congratulating the seniors and being a part of that ceremony. And even speaking to the seniors after the graduation, they were excited, and I encouraged them even more to, go further than where they are. And I just want to also thank the parents for being involved, and look forward to this summer and also next year with some new things coming.
Thank you. Mr. Cox?
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ambrose?
I want to start off by thanking Ms. Curry for her service here to the board and for all that she's done. She's been a great help to me also as a new board member. I want to congratulate our seniors for all the hard work they've put in these past 13 years in their education. Looking forward to seeing what some of you have in your future. I want to thank also Miss Claire. There's been a lot of financial things we've had to discuss tonight that she's had to put a lot of time and effort in putting together, because we are required to approve our year-end budget and to approve a new budget next year. And we also have some other initiatives going on that she has taken the lead on. And also for having the other presentations about curriculum here tonight. Ms. President, though, I would like to see if we can at some point, it's great we have the schools come in and talk to us about what's going on within their buildings, but maybe during the summer next year, we have the curriculum directors come in and talk about the programs that we've approved in the past and are coming up for approval next board meeting, and talk about the progress that they've made with those.
Thank you. It's funny you said that. We had that conversation in the Student Achievement Committee at the last meeting around that piece and the return of investment, so thank you. Mrs. Abney Mitchell?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to all the presenters for taking our questions. And yes, it would be excellent to have the students come in and the staff come in to talk about their experience with the things that we buy to help them with education in the district. And also, I would like to congratulate the seniors of class of 2025. We had more than 722 students to graduate on Saturday. This week we had middle school promotions and elementary promotions. And I'm just so happy for all the students. I'm happy for the whole district as we begin to look into the warmer days and start to enjoy the summer days. And also I'd like to remind everybody that June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. That's what this orange pen is for. Every year in June, I have a gun violence awareness march in the city of Inkster. I pass out gun locks, information about safe storage. Every year, this is my 4th year doing it, so I'm very excited about that. And it's also Pride Month. I encourage everybody to take pride into themselves. Your thoughts, your belief, whatever they are, take pride in it and don't let nobody tear you down for what you believe or who you think you are or who you want to be. This month, I celebrate you. And also, I just want the kids, the students, the families, all of our staff, whether teachers, bus drivers, all staff, administration, just to have a fun and happy summer. And thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Abney Mitchell. to keep my comments brief, I would like to say congratulations to the class of 2025. Truly enjoyed the graduation or commencement ceremonies this weekend. Really would like to lift a thank you to not only the parents, but the building principals and their team, their staff, meaning teachers, all that touch kids throughout the school year, to see everything come together so nicely. Just want to say thank you for all of your hard work this school year. Also, in attending honors night, just very impressed with our students and their accomplishments. I also had the opportunity to participate in judging the National History Projects at Wayne Memorial. That was a phenomenal time, just talking to the students and seeing the work that they put in to their projects, and also seeing the devices that we voted to purchase. So seeing those where the kids created websites, just really nice experience. To echo some of my colleagues, I do want to say again, thank you to Mrs. Curry, as well as her team, Mrs. Claire, Mrs. Markey, Mr. Toko, everyone. It's just been a phenomenal year, and I am appreciative of everyone's hard work. And I also want to say thank you to my board colleagues. We have accomplished a lot this year, this school year, and just thinking about where we were this time a year ago and where we are tonight, it feels really good, and I just want to say thank you. And with that being said, I'm wishing everyone a happy, relaxing, fun summer. Stay safe. And I'm looking for a motion to adjourn our meeting at 8:55
So moved.
or 7:55. All in favor?
Aye.